When floodwaters rise, the red imported fire ant doesn't drown. Instead, thousands of workers lock their bodies together, trapping air to create a living, unsinkable raft. They can float like this for weeks, waiting to colonize whatever dry land they touch next. Once on land, they exhibit a strange biological attraction to electrical currents. They swarm into utility boxes, into traffic lights and air conditioners, chewing through insulation. The resulting short circuits cause fires and massive power grid failures. In Texas metroplexes alone, the cost of repairing these damages, treating the stings, and attempting to control the swarms exceeds $580 million every year. Their venom contains alkaloids that cause painful pustules, sending tens of thousands of people to the hospital with severe allergic reactions. This map displays the 15 Texas agricultural statistic districts, with the shaded eastern regions highlighting where the heaviest fire ant damage is concentrated. In these areas, the ants blind newborn livestock, destroy harvesting equipment, and devour seeds, costing Texas agriculture over $90 million annually in lost yields and broken machinery. A single acre of pasture can host dozens of hardened mounds, each extending deep underground. Pouring synthetic chemicals or attempting to plow over these fortresses does little to stop them. The surviving ants simply rebuild or relocate. The red imported fire ant has overwhelmed local ecosystems and outpaced traditional pest control. Stopping them requires understanding how they became such an efficient, resilient force in the first place. The species is native to the floodplains of South America. In the 1930s, cargo ships carrying soil ballast inadvertently transported a small population of these ants to the port of Mobile, Alabama. That accidental voyage created a genetic bottleneck. Out of hundreds of genetic variations in South America, only a few highly aggressive strains survived the trip. This narrowed the gene pool and stripped away the natural checks and balances they faced in their native habitat. This isolated population soon exhibited a destructive trait: the Polygyne colony structure. Polygyne translates to many queens. Instead of a single queen ruling a distinct nest, multiple queens cooperate within a massive, interconnected supercolony that expands rapidly across the landscape without fighting its neighbors. Having conquered the American South, the United States became an accidental bridgehead. Through modern shipping and global trade, the U.S. has exported these optimized ants to Taiwan, China, and Australia. This map projects the potential spread of fire ants across Australia, with the massive red-shaded regions indicating areas highly vulnerable to invasion. Without intervention, these ants are projected to cost the Australian economy billions, threatening both commercial agriculture and unique native wildlife. Human commerce lifted a highly adaptable insect out of its natural environment and dropped it onto continents entirely unprepared for its arrival. To fight back, researchers are deploying importation biological control. This is the practice of finding an invasive pest's natural predators in its native habitat and intentionally introducing them to the new environment. One of those native enemies is the Phorid fly. This tiny, hyper-agile insect hovers over foraging fire ants, waits for an opening, and dive bombs the worker to inject a single egg directly into its body. Inside, the egg hatches into a maggot that migrates up into the ant's head. After feeding on the internal tissue for several weeks, the maggot releases a specialized enzyme. This dissolves the connective tissue in the ant's neck, causing its head to fall completely off. The adult fly then emerges from this severed head capsule to hunt again. An even more insidious predator is Solenopsis daguerre, a parasitic ant that functions as an internal infiltrator within the fire ant nest. The parasitic queen slips past the colony's defenses by perfectly mimicking their chemical scent. She finds the host queen and physically yokes herself to her back. Deceived by the parasite's pheromones, the worker ants feed the imposter, while their actual queen starves to death, handing control of the colony over to the invaders. These microscopic acts of warfare recreate the natural ecological friction that kept fire ants in check in South America. The constant threat of attack forces the ants to spend less time foraging and expanding. The red imported fire ant holds too much territory for total eradication. The objective now is permanent suppression, driving their numbers down to a manageable level. With phorid flies and parasitic queens disrupting their supply lines, native ant species finally have an opening to compete for food and reclaim their territory. This approach relies on mapping and repairing complex natural cycles. Instead of coating millions of acres in broad-spectrum synthetic pesticides, scientists are using specialized biological pressures to restore balance. Reversing a human-made ecological disaster requires deploying nature's most ruthless tools, fighting the invaders mound by mound, right in our own backyards.